Now, one of the things that folks will ask me about a lot in class is they'll say, well, when do I put my charts and my graphs into my PowerPoint slideshow, Doug? And I always kind of laugh at them just a little bit, and I'll say, well, absolutely never. I mean, and that's not really, I don't necessarily go to that far of an extreme, but most of the time charts and graphs will typically work a whole lot better as more of a handout than they will as a slide. The reason why is because a lot of times charts and graphs will have really tiny print and tiny numbers, and they might be very challenging to follow. So that will work a little bit better if you give that to your audience as a handout, and then you can use the handout as your visual aid. So basically, when you want them to refer to that handout, you pick that up, you call attention to it with your fingers and say, okay, now we're in the middle part of page number 2 in the charts and graphs that I've handed out to you, and then people can follow along with you. That works a whole lot better than putting the cluttery chart or graph up on the slideshow. Doesn't mean you can't use charts and graphs entirely, but the kinds of charts or graphs that I might use if I'm putting them into my slideshow would be something that's really obvious. So like for instance, if I was showing a sales history for my company and the line was going up, 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 and then all of a sudden there was a big drop and then it went up, 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 up again, that's really easy for anybody in the audience to look at that and say, okay, so something happened in that short interim that made sales go down. And so it's easy for them to draw that conclusion. So that would be like a simplistic type of graph or chart that you might use. So I would really limit, if you're using your visual aid, your PowerPoint slideshows to show charts and graphs, I would limit it to just the things that are really obvious at first glance, and then use the rest of them as handouts.